Hello, what is up, Speed Addicts family? Welcome back to the channel. On this episode, we are going to continue to do fabrication on Jose's Supra. If you missed last episode, all of our fabrication, TIG welding, cutting, all that jazz was all stainless. And now that we're done with the stainless portion, we are going to start on the aluminum portion. So to start things off, we got to start at the turbo. If you missed everything, we run the Rev 9 manifold. I braced it. It comes without anything on the wastegate side. So from the wastegate back and from the precision turbo back, all fabricated by myself. As you can tell, there's a limited amount of space right there. I thought we could fit a little silicone coupling, but we're not able to. So because of that, we got the CX Racing cast elbow. This is a 2.5 this side, 3-inch this side. The turbo is a 2.5 outlet, and then our intercooler piping, which is this 3-inch, we have to use, we have to weld it into place. We got to weld that cast elbow. So this is gonna be new for me. It's gonna take a little bit more amperage, and hey, I'm gonna walk you guys through the process. I think we can knock it out. So to start things off, the orientation of this turbo is gonna be somewhere around this general area. I can't clock it counterclockwise anymore because the outlet on this compressor housing will end up hitting this turbine drain line. Of course, it can't go anywhere up in this area, and then we definitely can't go on that side. So options are limited, but with these two together, I think it'll work. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line this up. I know for a fact I'm probably gonna have to cut this right at that groove. And then what I'm gonna do is probably cut this probably as close to that bend as possible. So let's go ahead and mark a few things, and let's go ahead and cut a few things. So as you can tell from that clip, we got both pieces cut, and we basically nailed it on the first cut. We took it all the way past the bend on the turbo, and then we took this all the way up to the bend as well, because at some point, this is not gonna be 2.5 anymore. As you can tell, it widens out and kind of got that taper effect. We cut it right where it starts to open up. Another thing we need to do is we need to open up this hole right here that's on the Supra. From factory, there was like a 2.5-inch hose going through there, or not hose, there's a 2.5-inch in diameter intercooler pipe going through this opening here. And now that our intercooler piping now is gonna be 3 inches, this needs to be opened up. Just for reference purposes, it's a little bit under 3 inches actually. So I got to figure out as far as how I want to open this up. I know we're gonna have to remove this black clip, probably move this ground out of the way, move this loom out of the way, and I want to try to make this look as clean as possible. But when we make our cut, we're also going to use painter's tape as well, so that will reduce the chance of chipping. Also, in order to do this, I ended up getting a pneumatic reciprocating saw. So this will be the first time using this tool. This is a Harbor Freight special. I think it was like 44 bucks. Got a pack of 5 of these blades here for, I want to say $12. But let's tape up what we want to cut out first and get that figured out. We got this little black clip. I think that it might be in our best interest to remove that completely. I mean, all it's doing is keeping this hose secure, but this thing is tight enough that I don't think it's gonna be a problem. And then as far as using this piece of 3-inch pipe as a reference point, we only got to do just a little bit of trimming, but I also want to do enough trimming that this ain't gonna sit there and be vibrating on the inside of that also. right, so just mocking up what I got so far, or what was provided with the kit. If I take that pipe, go here, got this pipe running up behind the fender, going into the engine bay. All I would need to do is cut this right here where my thumb is at, and then maybe add a little weld material to kind of give it a little bit of a bevel. And then that can be a straight silicone coupling there. And then this is where the pipe comes into the engine bay. And I mean, we're looking at maybe like a gradual 45 turn and maybe a few straight pieces. Yeah, like a 45 for real. Yeah, I like that. All right, so an update on the aluminum portion. I've gotten this piece basically sanded down flat. A little small straight piece coming off of here. And then I think what I'm gonna end up having to do is cut a bunch of pies out of some of this 3-inch aluminum pipe just to get the perfect angle right here. And then a glance into the future. Here's the intake that's gonna go into place. And as you can tell, it's hitting our coolant bypass setup that we got. So what I'm gonna end up doing is taking this hose off, taking this upper coolant neck off. We have two options. We can take out the two little bungs. Hold on, let me show you what I'm talking about. So we can probably take some channel locks of some sort and pull these out. We can go ahead and turn around and tap that MPT thread, then put in a plug of some sort. But I think what I want to attempt to do is, since this is all cast aluminum, I want to try to fill that in with weld wire and then put it on the belt sander and get it back flat. And I think that'll look for a cleaner look. We got this housing cleaned up. Before I weld it, I want to give you guys a run through of what I'm doing. I'm using some ER 3032. This is 1/16 in diameter. What I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna preheat this stuff. With aluminum, you want to get it, especially something this thick, you want to kind of get it already hot so that when you hit the arc with the torch, it'll kind of melt into place. Change to a pink cup. Number 7, still got a gas lens on it. And what I'm gonna attempt to do is I'm gonna heat up the edge and I'm gonna dab this all the way around, kind of making a circle, filling it in. And the last thing we'll do is we'll face it on the belt sander. And see, I can show you better than I can tell you. You're getting just enough heat to melt this filler rod on it, but that's basically what I'm doing. I'm walking it around, and eventually that hole will close up, and then I'll end up hitting the foot pedal a little more to kind of let that metal soak in. Also, another thing I'm doing too is I'm not full pedaling it. I'm hitting it by about a quarter pedal. And what that's doing is that allowing is a cleaning action to take place. I wish I had a better camera I could show it to you. But basically what I'm doing is the cleaning action is burning all the impurities and stuff out of this cast. And then what it's doing is allowing it where I can penetrate all the oxides on the outside. I don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah, you want to clean it first and then go on the pedal and do your dabs. All right, just like usual, a few days passed. I don't remember where I left off, but I know I still got this upper coolant housing still sitting in this vise, so I'm assuming this is where I left off at. Off camera, I filled it up with water. I was gonna figure out a way to pressurize it, but I'm pretty confident that it's gonna hold up. Let me pour the water out and I'll show you the other side. The first time I welded it, and then I put it on the belt sander to make it flat. And when I did that, I didn't put enough material in the middle of it for it to be thick enough, and I ended up kind of burning through it with the belt sander. So this time I left a little bump on it. I mean, it don't look the prettiest, but it do look like it's gonna work the prettiest. All right, this is how far I've gotten so far with the hot side of the intercooler piping. I put the intake in place so that I can make sure that I can miss this filter. If I switch this pipe around, that little ugly nipple that don't need to be on there will end up being on the bottom. But I don't know. I think we're gonna get rid of this, Jose. But regardless, I'm using this for temporary mock-up purposes so that I can know exactly how I'm gonna sweep this. Nothing is welded yet, nothing is final. But I did ended up making a few pie cuts. It only looked like I only needed one pie cut to get this right angle. And then I'm determining whether I wanna make this and this one piece, or if I want to make it two piece, meaning I have a boot here and then like a boot somewhere in here. I don't know yet, but let me show you how I make my pies real quick. And the reason I like pie cuts so much is, I mean, you can get the perfect angle or the perfect orientation of whatever you're trying to make. A lot of welders don't really like it because it do take a lot of time to cut these, and then of course, instead of making like one weld and you got 3 pies together, you know, you got to make 3 times as many welds. Get you a little piece of angle iron or something. This is something that I just welded up with the MIG welder. Take your piece of straight pipe on it, line that pipe up, take your Sharpie, draw you a line. Next, find you like 2 items that's got a little density to it. And then what you want to do is you want to put the pipe in between it. So right now I got this thing moved where it won't go anywhere, but at the same time I can still rotate it. And you need to know that the diameter of your pipe. I'm working with 3-inch intercooler piping. You can see it there, 3 inches. So what's half of 3 inches, gals? 1 inch. No, I'm just joking. It's 1.5 inches. So what you'll do is you'll come on one side of the pipe, try to rotate that thing to 1.5 inches. Take the 1.5 inches to the other side. And of course you can tell that I don't know my 1.5 inch lines, but basically you'll make a mark right there on that side where the 1.5 inches is at. And I'm talking about just like a little mark like that. Take that little mark. So we're gonna pretend like that's the little mark. Line that little mark up to a flat, sharp line spot. And then you're gonna draw that line all the way across. Take it over to your cutting jig. Make sure you tighten up this adjustment section here to 9 degrees. Put your pipe in the belt sander. Take you a ruler, measure from this point to 1.5 inches. Same thing on that side, tighten it down. And all you're gonna do, as you can tell, I've already made that cut. So once I make that cut, rotate it, push it forward enough where I got just a smidge of a lip right there, or a little bit of material. Tighten down, cut it, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep rotating it and making your cuts until you get the desired quantity of pies that you want to add to your build. All right, real quick, excuse that daggone sunlight, but we're to the point where we're ready to tack both of these pieces together. As you can tell, the compressor housing is super thick, as well as this cast elbow. I'm gonna use a lot of amperage, a lot more amperage than I normally use for example, for like this pipe in here. And with this, I'm gonna bump the amperage up to 150, and I'm also gonna do 100 hertz. I may actually drop the hertz down, depending on how much it penetrates. But when I tack this up, I expect to hear a little bit of a deeper tone coming from the TIG torch. Wow, look at that. Got that mug tacked up, got the air filter into place. I got half, actually, you know, I don't even got half. I got a freaking pinky finger width in between the intercooler piper and that. And now with everything tacked up into place, no hands, you kind of get an idea of the orientation I'm running. your boy was feeling kind of good. So I went ahead and laid them stack of dimes. I went from 150 amps. Then I went up to like 170. The piece started getting hot, so I backed it back down to 150. But yeah, man, them things stacked out pretty well. It's kind of hard to get in that little area. I didn't want to stick the tungsten out too far since I'm using a pink cup. But overall, man, I think that mess came out tasteful. Update. I think I posted it before, but I got all of my intercooler piping set up this way. I made it 2 pieces just so it's easy to service. To be honest with you, with 2 black couplers right there, don't look too terrible. Off camera, we went ahead and welded up our air intake temperature sensor. So now we're to the point where we are ready to install our blow-off valve. So let's go ahead and set this up and let me grab it and we'll show you exactly what blow-off valve we're using on Jose's Supra build. We're using that 50 millimeter blow-off valve. This is like basically one of the best blow-off valves in the market. 50 millimeters come from this distance. What I have right here is exactly what came with the kit. You got the sealing O-ring, the V-band clamp to hold the blow-off valve to the flange. It gives you a flange in case you need to weld it on. In this case, the kit that Jose had already has a 50 millimeter flange on it. And then we got the banjo swivel with the bolt that secures it. See, this is a good idea or a good opportunity to share something that I came across. This little lip, I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of butchered up. You can see where something's been tapping on it. What I'm going to assume from my professional observation, the cat that came here with his carbide bit, that joker was bouncing all over here like that. And what it ended up doing is it ended up, bending this daggone aluminum over and making kind of like a sharp edge. I mean, this thing's supposed to be sealed with this O-ring, and if you got a sharp edge to a rubber or neoprene O-ring, that combination don't even work. You're not allowed to use that in the same sentence and have success. So, just a little extra observation. It pays a lot to pay attention. I'll be paying attention because I used to get whoopings when I was growing up. You got 2 little washers. They're basically the same thing that they use for brake lines. Usually they're made out of copper for brake lines. I think these are like aluminum shims or crush washers. That's it. And sometimes I put a little bit of that baby butt jelly on the inside just to make it easier to install. I'm talking about just a little bit. I might even put it on there and then wipe it off. So it'll be like a nano decimeter type of film on it. And the final thing about our 50 millimeter towel blow-off valve, it comes with a pressure chart sheet. This determines, basically lets you know where you need to set your spring pressure or what color springs you need to use based on the amount of vacuum that your car has at idle, A or boost. But yeah, if you need to look at this, there it is. All right, fam. I can't conclude this video without showing you the final product. Starting from the intake, we got the intake in place. We got the bung on the down part side, or like on the underneath side. All we gotta do is cap it. I need to find 2 clamps. Looking at the cast elbow, CX Racing to the precision compressor housing. I got 1, 2, 3 pie cuts going over into the fender that we opened up. We was able to manage to use some of the piping from the original kit on the hot side. Starting over here at the throttle body, we got our air intake temperature bung welded in place, sensor screwed in. We got it snaking down and up underneath the battery tray. And then we got it connecting right up underneath this section over here. And of course that pipe has our brand new black towel 50 millimeter blow off valve. So that's going to conclude this video. I appreciate you checking out us doing the intercooler or the aluminum portion of this build. I got a few more things I got to tighten up and a few more things I got to share with you guys. So you have to stick around for the next episode. See you later.